You know, you wake up in the morning of the Super Bowl and you say to yourself that tonight, my life will be different. One way or another, my life is going to be different. That's an interesting way to feel in the morning as you're eating breakfast. So transitioning from football was really about, I'd gone to law school while I played, and I was going to be a lawyer, and then I ended up having an opportunity with Rich to start what was Sorensen Capital at the time in 2001. And I became a direct investor or private equity at that time. So that's kind of the down and dirty of how I made the transition. It's an odd transition for sure, but that's how I did it. And my role today is really, it was for a long time, you know, last 4 or 5 years, really heavily managing the business. But now we've got a generation of managers that have come up and owners of the business that Rich and I have brought forward to kind of generationally give stability for our firm. And so it's allowing me to get back to what I really love, which is getting out and visiting businesses and management meetings and negotiations and, again, getting people across the line in a really productive, abundant way. That's what I really enjoy. I was playing for the 49ers, and my agent, lawyer Lee Steinberg, really encouraged me to start the Forever Young Foundation. You know, we started the foundation under the strategy that we would help charities, really high-functioning, really great charities that didn't have a great fundraising arm. We would be the fundraising arm for them. Where I went to college, where I'm playing here in the Bay Area, where the foundation was started in Phoenix and then back in the East Coast. So that's how it got started, and it's come a long way in 35 years. So one of the early strategies we had at Forever Young was to start what was essentially recreational therapy units. If you remember the movie Patch Adams with Robin Williams, he would go around the hospital and basically just cheer people up and get people together and enjoy. And so we started Forever Young Zones. That's how we got into hospitals. They didn't have a place where kids could get together and do all the stuff that you want to do when you're together and help people heal. And then from that, my wife, Barb, started Sophie's Place in honor of our dear friend Sophie Barton, who passed away tragically. And she used to go play in the hospitals to the kids. And so we started to learn about music therapy and the amazing things that music therapy is doing in healing in hospitals and how many prescriptions are written every day in music therapy. And so we started to build space in hospitals, physical space for the music therapists who used to go around in a cart in room to room, and now another place where kids can come together, take their music therapy, which is medicine, prescriptive medicine that the music brings to the kids and helps them heal. And we've been doing it now a number of hospitals around the country. And so for me, life is about ending it with a sense that you have enriched and healed and brought as much abundance to the relationships that are most meaningful to you. And then along the way, have you been able to bring that to other people? And I think through business, through philanthropic efforts, charity, of course, all those efforts is how you do that. And so I start from the inside out, and here we are.
Well, I hope you were able to use this time to meet a new colleague, say hello to an old friend, or introduce yourself to a student in the audience. And there's some incredible students I encourage you to reach out to. But my next role is to introduce an incredible gentleman who I've had the privilege to get to know a little bit today and sit beside. And it's my pleasure to introduce someone who brings both remarkable business acumen and a deep personal connection to tonight's honoree. And that gentleman is James Herman. He is the executive director at HGGC, one of the nation's leading middle market private equity firms. With a strong track record in business development and consumer goods, Jim has helped source transformative deals and strategic growth initiatives across the entire firm's portfolio. Before his work in private equity, Jim spent over a decade building multi-million-dollar brands at Icon Health and Fitness, a Bain Capital portfolio company. But before any of that, James's journey started on the football field. He was drafted by none other than the Dallas Cowboys in 1985 before trading in his cleats for casebooks and earning both his BS and JD from Brigham Young University. It was there at BYU that Jim became roommates and lifelong friends with a certain quarterback that you all know and have been introduced to this evening. Their bond has only deepened over the years, and today they work side by side at HGGC. Please join me in welcoming this incredible gentleman, James Herman, here to introduce his friend, colleague, and former roommate, and the recipient of the IDEA 2025 medal, Steve Young.
Ladies, gentlemen, and distinguished guests, please welcome James Herman of Huntsman Gay Global Capital to present tonight's reminiscences.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to be with you. Taking a few deep breaths here. There's more people than I had anticipated here tonight. Ash told me they were going to say a few comments in front of a few people from Winnipeg, so nice to see everyone. But before I share some thoughts about my friend and our guest of honor tonight, I want to make a quick note and a thank you to Ash Moda and Paul Subri for their leadership and friendship this last year as we have worked on putting this program together tonight. They're great representatives of the Asper School of Business, the Associates Program, and the International Distinguished Entrepreneur Award, and all that it encompasses. They have been helpful, patient, and kind as we've prepared for this wonderful evening. So I know, let's give them a quick round of applause. Well, it's truly an honor for me to be up here tonight. I've had an opportunity to do this more than once to talk about my good friend Steve. And the last time I told him it's kind of like I get to speak at his funeral with him being alive. And I mean that in the best possible way, right? I think it's something we should do more often. There's not a lot of times where Steve and I go out to dinner or we're sitting together after a meeting where I tell him what a great person he is and how much I respect and honor him. So I think this is kind of a fun honor, and I suggest you do this more frequently and have an opportunity to talk about your friends. But Steve Young has been a part of my life for a very long time. We met as freshmen together at BYU over 45 years ago. I know you're thinking, how can that guy who looks like he's 25 met a guy that looks like he's 65 45 years ago? But it's happened. Anyhow, I think Steve is someone that after this evening, you will agree is a worthy and distinguished recipient of this honor. We were roommates, teammates. We quickly became fast friends 45 years ago in 1980. And even back then, I found myself looking up to Steve, even though he was the seventh string quarterback. And that's really something. That's a story in and of itself. But it's really what makes Steve, his resilience and leadership. Not only was he an incredible athlete, which, yes, that was obvious, but more than that was his character. Steve has a unique way from day one to lead with a quiet confidence and an unwavering integrity. He has a strong moral compass, a deep sense of responsibility, and even at a young age, he stood out for the way he carried himself, with purpose and with principle. Over the years, we've shared a lot: college, law school, business ventures, marriages, the birth of our children, and a lifetime of friendship. And through every chapter, Steve has been the same person to the core: grounded, principle-driven, and living life with a sense of purpose. Recently, I've been rereading The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, one of the great leadership books out there. I know this book has deep personal meaning to Steve. Steve has a friendship with Stephen Covey. He's looked up to him as a mentor and a hero. One habit in particular, as I've reread this book, now that I'm an adult, a little more mature, and can pick up on the nuances of life and relationships, the one that really stands out to me that I really think in large part encompasses Steve is habit number 2. Begin with the end in mind. It's about defining your goals with purpose, creating and living your personal mission statement, managing your life with integrity, and making and keeping commitments to yourself and to others. And when I think about that habit, I can't think of Steve, because that is exactly how he lives his life. Whether on the football field or in the boardroom or in the community, Steve is led with vision, intention, and heart. Many of you may know Steve as a Hall of Fame quarterback, and yes, he has earned every bit of that. But what I've always admired most about Steve is how he's acted off the field. Back when we were in law school, Steve brought the vision he had of living the law of abundance, paying things forward, living a life with a desire to give back, to build something meaningful, to make a difference in the lives of others. That vision became the Forever Young Foundation, an organization that began with a big heart and an even bigger vision: to serve children facing significant physical, emotional, and financial challenges. And today, that vision that was started long ago in law school has become a powerful force of good, touching the lives in ways most people will never see, but many will never forget. That kind of vision, that kind of compassion, that kind of follow-through, that's who Steve Young is. Whether it's co-founding our firm, living the life of abundance through philanthropy, or always being there in his deep personal relationship, he leads with humility, generosity, and an unshakable commitment to do what's right. Oftentimes you're at these banquets and you hear these names thrown around like this, but I can attest to you that this is sincere and this truly is who Steve is. I talked to a couple friends that Steve I have are mutual before I came here tonight, and told them a little bit about what was going to be included in my talk, and asked him if I was going a little too far with the old guy, kind of heaping too much praise on our friend. And every one of them said, nope, that's exactly who he is, and that's why he's been a friend and example to us. So tonight we come together to celebrate entrepreneurship, leadership, and global impact. I can't think of anyone more deserving of this International Distinguished Award than Steve Young. He embodies everything this honor represents and more. He will make you proud as a recipient, I promise you. To me, he's just not a Hall of Fame celebrity athlete or respected business leader and entrepreneur. He is a lifetime friend. He's a loyal partner and someone I continue to look up to. So, I know there's going to be someone else that comes up after me, but I do want to say, please join me in honoring tonight my dear friend and the 2025 IDEA Award recipient, Steve Young. I'm proud of you.
Please welcome University of Manitoba President and Vice Chancellor, Dr. Michael Benaroche.
Good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to be here today. I want to first start by thanking the associates for always being such a strength for our school and for inviting me to be here again this evening. And I want to thank everybody in the room who supports our university, and there's many, many of you here today. One of the things that Mr. Young has worked on is supporting women in sports. So I thought I would talk today a little bit about women in sports at the University of Manitoba, and they've really led the way in this past year, starting with the Bison's women volleyball team that won the national championships on our campus. Canadian soccer sensation, probably the greatest female soccer player, Christine Sinclair, delivered the Distinguished Night Lecture. And our track and field phenom, Madison Lawrence, fought back from injury to win gold in the pentathlon and break her own record for a second time in 3 years. And I think what we're most proud of is our Bison men's football team, but the fact that Maya Turner, the first female kicker in the youth sports, the first female player to score points in youth sports, was selected the first female Canada West All-Star this past year. A real shout out to our longtime coach, Brian Doby, who's retiring this year and will leave a big hole in our football program. And tonight, we welcome an NFL champion to our community. It's a great honor to present tonight's award to Steve Young, a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Super Bowl is, it's the American Grey Cup. the other great, like many bisons in our herd do, Steve Young dared to think big about how to apply his talent and training in new ways to benefit even more people. When he retired from the NFL with records that still hold to this day, he brought his playmaking vision to the boardroom and co-founded the private equity firm Huntsman Gay Global Capital. He also became a best-selling author, advanced programs that support women in sports, and founded the Forever Young Foundation to support children's charities across the globe. Steve, you have given and done so much to inspire and support the next generation. You have shown leadership on and off the field, and you bring great honor to our university in being here today. Thank you. I'm delighted now, somewhere here, to present you this award. Since 1984, the Associates of the Asper School of Business have presented the International Distinguished Entrepreneur Award to honor great leaders, people who have achieved outstanding success in business and the global stage. The university and the Associates are privileged to recognize Steve Young for his achievements and this impact. Distinguished guests, please welcome the 2025 International Distinguished Entrepreneur Award recipient, Mr. Steve Young.
Ladies, gentlemen, and distinguished guests, please welcome the 2025 International Distinguished Entrepreneur Award recipient, Mr. Steve Young.
First of all, this plaque in recognition of a career that conquered the peak of professional sports, transitioning to the highest levels of business achievement and matching those accomplishments with a relentless commitment to charitable endeavors and philanthropy. So the plaque and then the IDEA Award. The gold medal. Oh, always do that. So just that you should know that the IDEA Award, which is a gold medal printed through the Royal Canadian Mint, is one of the rarest in the world, and there are now only 42 in existence. So everyone, the 2025 IDEA recipient, once again, Mr. Steve Young.
Thank you, President. Started this morning over at the Asper School of Business on the campus of University of Manitoba, and I immediately fell in love with what they're doing over there, what it means to the province, what it means to the community, and we had a ball. And we left them with lots to think about, and I enjoyed the give and take and trying to pay it forward. And I want to thank my friends Ash and Paul for inviting me to do this, to honoring me. I want you to know that if my kids were here, they're like, what, why, Dad? Like they're younger and they missed all the hoopla. And so I kind of wish they were here because I was like, hey, I'm cool. Like, I told you, but I'm here to pay it forward. I'm here because of what I learned about Winnipeg, when I learned about the community. And then when I was here and I heard the mission values at the University of Manitoba, and especially at the School of Business, about it's not just the transaction, it's the relationship, and the relationships that matter, and then the community at large. You get a feeling of the rootedness of Winnipeg, and you get it really quickly. I joked earlier in the VIP that if I was ever chased by the police, I'm coming to Winnipeg. Like, especially if I was innocent, I want to be protected. But it's the rootedness that it really matters. I drove by the Princess Auto Stadium, and I thought to myself, what I could have been, I was made for the CFL. I was made for the Blue Bombers. I was an oddity when I played for the NFL. They always just call me a scrambler, a crazy person. He doesn't know what he's doing. And like in the CFL, you would have appreciated me. You would have. You would have embraced me, and I would have been a Blue Bomber for life. Much better than Doug Flutie, for sure. But I will really be focused on the Blue Bombers this year as they open the season, because now I feel connected, and it's going to be fun to watch. I shared earlier, and it really resonates again with the community of Winnipeg, and I want to share a story about my Hall of Fame coach, Bill Walsh. Passed away about 20 years ago, but at the height of his career, he used to start every season with a big meeting for the team, and he would say to us, hey, I don't care what play is called, I don't care what defense is run. The only way we're going to win is if we share an element of love for each other. This is a football coach in the NFL in the mid-90s talking about love. It made no sense. But he saw us as players, as partners. He cared about our mental health. He cared about our hydration. He cared about our nutrition. He cared about our sleep. He was many generations ahead, and he also had the famous West Coast offense, which was a tactical advantage for many, many years. Being a part of the 49ers during those years was really being around somebody that was thoughtful around a spirit of abundance. The spirit of what can I do outside of the transaction, outside of just you're a player, I'm a coach, and I can build a relationship that we could be abundant together. The title of his book, his famous coaching book, was The Score Takes Care of Itself. It wasn't the North Star. Winning and losing wasn't actually the North Star. The relationships were the North Star, and the score took care of itself. And for 20 years, the 49ers were in the playoffs, 5 Super Bowls and 12 championship games. And people always ask me, why, how? It's in the relationships. And now in business, as I'm being honored, and Ash and Paul, I don't know why, I've been a businessman longer than I played football, 18 years in the NFL, and 25 years now as a private equity executive. And I can tell you that if it was true on the field, it is more true in business. Relationships matter, and they have to be elevated. And when you become a partnership investor, across the table is not a seller. Across the table is not an adversary. Across the table is your partner, and I'm willing to sacrifice for the relationship, for referenceability into the future, that no matter what happens, we will work it out together, and that even if it doesn't go well, we will always be able to look each other in the eye and say we never parted. The whole time we remained partners in the endeavor. So Bill Walsh, at the height of his career, as I joined the team in 1987, he'd already won two or three Super Bowls. He was the most famous coach in the NFL. And when I joined, he used to have a guy that would follow him around with a big beta cam, filming everything that he did. I thought it was for a museum or for a documentary, but it wasn't. It was Coach Walsh trying to capture all of his proprietary knowledge that had won him Super Bowls so that he could package it up in a physical repository, a box of video-based, audio-based of all of his speeches, paper-based of all of his playbooks, and he could put it in one place and hand it to his minority assistant coaches who were not getting head coaching jobs, and told them, with this box of everything that I know, I want you to have a leg up to go be great. And I'll see you in the championship game. Because he knew with his proprietary knowledge, he was going to have people come back and compete against him. And my coach, Mike Holmgren, who left in 1992 to be the head coach of the Green Bay Packers from the 49ers, was handed this repository, this box of everything that Bill Walsh had. And the last thing that Mike Holmgren told me that Bill Walsh said as he left the room is, and by the way, you'll make me better. Who gives away their secrets at the height of their career in a spirit of abundance to send people off to be great? I don't expect you as business leaders to do that. There is proprietary knowledge and important pieces of competitive nature that I understand, but think of the spirit of what Bill did. Now, Mike Holmgren goes to the Green Bay Packers. Who's his first hire as assistant coach? Andy Reid. Andy Reid leaves for Philadelphia and hires coaches. And they have continued the Bill Walsh spirit of abundance through the years, handing all of their proprietary knowledge to their assistant coaches to go see them be great. In the NFL today, I'm going to say 30 of 32 teams are being led today by coaches who have direct relationship with that first abundant act and have received it through the years from those that have received it before. That is the spirit of abundance. That's the spirit of getting away from the transactional life that we're so bogged down by. Think about American politics today. It's just bogged down in transaction. Winners and losers, and nothing else matters. What do I get? You don't get. The conversation is so binary, it's toxic. It's not a positive environment. Transactional relationships will rot over time, even if they have some profitability, because it's self-interested. Until we lose ourselves in the spirit of relationship, we will not thrive. And I pray that we can today kind of come together as a community in Winnipeg on who you are, and really in the spirit of Bill Walsh and all the other spirit of abundance, that we can turn to focusing on the person across the table, seeing them, being curious about the relationships that we can build. Just recently, I was speaking to a group of young adults, and I started to talk about abundance. I started to talk about some of these more elevated, esoteric ideals. And one of the guys at the end asked, I said, let's have a couple of questions you can ask. And a 22-year-old kid raised his hand, and he said, hey, Mr. Young, your life is over. You're on the other side. Your legacy is set. You've accomplished everything. You get to have conversations like this, because this is what you do when you get old. You have these kind of esoteric, highfalutin conversations, but I'm 22. I don't know that I'm going to be great at anything. I don't know that I'm going to be good at anything. I don't know if I'm going to have a legacy. How do you feel about that in terms of what you're saying? And I responded with, I am learning later in life why healing other humans and making that my North Star, a sense of fare thee well, a sense of can I make somebody's life better today? Can I selflessly seek someone's healing? I'm learning that late in life. I'm telling you at 22 years old, I believe that the true legacy of every human is the collection of the healing that you've brought to the world. You can still be great. You can still be profitable. You can still be famous. You can still have a huge business. You can still do all kinds of things. But what most matters is the legacy of healing that you leave behind. And you, my friend, the 22-year-old, you get to hear this at 22. You now have 70, 80 years to go build a legacy of the healing and the abundance that you can bring into the relationships that you run into throughout your life. I learned late, and I appreciate the mentors through the years, from Coach Walsh to Stephen Covey to Bob Gay to so many others around my life that have mentored me to teach me these incredible principles of abundance. And I get to share with you, the community of Winnipeg, who I know this resonates. That's why I told you this story. I didn't mean to repeat it from lunchtime, but it just resonated with who you are as a community, and I feel connected. I'm now a Blue Bomber fan. Mark Chipman, I'm now a Jet fan because, hold on. I'm a Jet fan because what I just described, they are. They are a group of guys. They are melded They are melded together. They are one, and you can feel it. And what they've built is something that I want to follow. It resonates with me. So let's hold close the Jets. Let's hope the best for the Blue Bombers. And let's hope best for the Spirit of Abundance to thrive in Winnipeg. Thank you so much.